we're only a dinky little podcast, so.
I can say this safely because it's at least 2 weeks removed from when the episode came out. There's a podcast that I listened to, and there were 3 people on this episode, and one person was like way up here, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm only doing this for effect. The other person was way over here. And the other person was way over there.
Oh, okay. So it was surround sound.
Right. So it was just
I know,
3 different volumes on everything, you know?
No, I get it.
And I get one of the people was calling from Ireland. But nonetheless, it's a much bigger podcast than we. Mm-hmm. It's a much, so on and so forth. But I'm like, they did not give a single shit about the sound quality of their things.
Right.
And so the fact that I got you to care is enough of a victory for me.
It's not so much that I care, is that
right.
I don't want a scolding at the end of the show.
Well, so that's the thing. And I obviously want you to take this as I'm well aware that, so you have, if we're on a scale of 1 to 10, Todd,
right.
Where would you rank your technical expertise when it comes to audio quality and sound editing?
Now take out the ringtone maker.
Taking out the ringtone maker, because that puts you off the ski. That's an unfair advantage.
Right. 4?
Okay.
I think that's fair, wouldn't you say?
I would say that's fair. I'm probably a 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, then I'm a 2. If you're a 5, I'm a 2.
No. See, so that's the thing. You're a 4. I'm a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I ask a lot of questions, and I'm striving to be a 6.
Right.
I'm working real hard to be a 6.
Right.
Where if I just kind of ease my foot off the accelerator just a little bit, we could all be at a 4.
Okay.
And it's not so much I'm like, God damn it, why did Todd do this to me again?
Mm-hmm.
It's more so, God damn, I could barely control what I'm doing and get my shit right. And now Todd's stuff is all screwed up as well. What the hell am I going to do to fix 2 things as opposed to 1?
Right. I
don't blame you for anything that goes wrong with the audio quality. I blame me for not having it taken care of for both of us.
Right.
So that it's not something that either one of us have to worry about.
Did you hear that big noise, Joe?
No.
That big weight taken off my shoulders and hitting the ground? No, that's the way I look at it. I always feel like when it's over and like sound has gone wrong, I fucked up and I did something wrong. Do you know what I mean? And I want to fix it. Not for me, for you, because like I know it's one of your pet peeves. Like if tomorrow you threw caution to the wind, and I mean, like as long as we're not like a podcast isn't coming out because there's no sound, I'd be like, it's not. I've no stress off my back. I never listen to it again.
Right.
Nobody's contacting me that the podcast sound. Only one person has ever contacted me that the podcast sounded off, and I relayed it to you. And other than that, I'm like, okay, it is what it is. But knowing what you like and, you know, how you are, that you like from listening to podcasts. So I get what I'm trying to say out there. You're like, oh, you like a good sounding podcast. Well, I want to do that because I know it's one of your pet peeves. But having a new computer, it just does all these things now every once in a while. And I'm like, how do I shut this off? How do I do that? I do try, though.
And that's like, if you try, that's great. If you can't figure it out, that's great too. I want you to know that none of this is I'm putting the blame for this on you. Like, oh, Todd fucked up, or Todd's doing this on purpose, or whatever thought process you might be having. Right. It's just more of a exasperation of like, shit, I hope today would have been the day that it righted itself. Now, granted, before we start recording, I do nothing different today than I do for the previous 628 times that we've recorded this podcast in this manner, right?
Right. And I'm the same way, other than swapping out a computer X how many months ago? You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I could use new headphones, and we've had these microphones for about 10 years, and believe me, these microphones sound a lot better than a lot of other people's microphones that are brand new, and they're dropping all sorts of large coin and everything else like that. But, like, these are 10-year-old microphones, right?
Yeah, 10-year-old free microphones.
10-year-old free microphones.
Right.
They came over on the boat from Portugal.
Pretty much.
But I could, like, drop $80 or wait till there's, like, a Black Friday sale and drop, like, $60 and get a brand new, like, whatever the newest version of this microphone is, right? Or I could just keep doing what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, I figure when one of our microphones dies, maybe we'll get two of the same after that.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're, like, if my mic dies or your mic dies, and we get a new one, the other person will have the old model, and maybe the settings aren't all the same.
Yeah.
That's the only way I see me getting a new Yeti. Like, I like this microphone a lot.
Yeah.
I pretty much understand everything. I was walked through by, one of Fox's greatest commentators, how to
Iris?
do the stuff on the back and what, the volume should be at and how to run it into my computer. So I think it's okay.
And that's the thing. Every once in a while, like, something will happen where, like, Skype will do an update, or the firmware for the mic will do an update, and then I'm like, I got to go double check to make sure all my settings are going through, because Skype's default is to go from my computer's microphone as opposed to this microphone. But then my computer's default is to attempt to use this microphone as a speaker.
Okay.
Which doesn't work at all. So sometimes when there's like a firmware update or whatever it is, I have to go in and make sure that those things haven't clicked over.
Now, okay.
More times than not, they don't, but it does happen from time. It's happened like 6 times in the last 10 years, and that's all it needs to happen for me to think that it happens all the time.
Right. So now you have the USB port out of the microphone into the computer, right?
Yes.
Now you have your headset into a microphone jack on the computer or underneath the microphone?
So I'm living in the past in that I have a monitor that has speakers built into it, which they don't do anymore.
Right.
So I microphone jack into my monitor, which is where my speakers are built into. But the problem is the speakers on the monitor are shot. And it's very expensive to get a new monitor.
Right.
So as long as I keep things at a low volume when I'm listening to them and I don't have the headphones plugged in, we're okay. So, which is why typically whenever I'm in here watching anything, I always have my headphones in, because then I can turn it up as loud as I want.
Right. Now, because I think we've been over this before, but so I have the cord coming out of my mic that goes into the USB port, and that runs that. Now I have my headphones jacked into the bottom of, there's like a microphone, a headphone jack underneath the microphone. And I always wondered what would happen, because and this is the way it's been since I got the microphone, whether or not I move the port around or whatever, because sometimes I would do that. Like what USB port I had on my computer. I would do that. And I always wonder if I should take it out and jack it into the computer right in the headphone jack. Either way, I would test it on the Skype thing, because I got so paranoid about this podcast when it went sideways on sound that I would get at this computer 5 minutes early and do a Skype audio test for myself before every episode.
That's what I do before every episode here.
Right. I've kind of laxed off in the past couple of weeks because I've been running late. But I kind of want to see for next time. I might jack it into the side and see it. I keep saying jacking a lot. I'm going to put it into the side of the computer and see if it sounds different.
Right. And again, obviously, I can't speak for your laptop. If there's speakers built in the laptop, I'm going to guess that there probably is.
Right.
But like I said before, you putting the microphone or the headset into the microphone itself, that's why when I plug the microphone into my PC wants to default it to make it a speaker so that I can plug my headphones into the microphone.
Right. And my laptop definitely has external, like speakers on it.
Yeah.
Because when I between TVs before I bought the new one, I was watching whatever I felt like that wasn't, like I wanted to watch on the big screen. Like if I was watching like sports wrap up shows, I'm like, all I need to do is hear it. So I would just run it through my cable. I could go online and, stream my cable. I had the external microphones or the external speakers working, but they're so quiet. I hate it. I couldn't hear it. Like I jack it all the way up, do everything I could, and it wouldn't work. So I would plug. That's when I would take the headphones out of the microphone and put them in the computer so I could hear better because it was so quiet. It was like somebody was whispering. I was like, these suck. So the speakers, I mean, on my computer.
Yeah. And like I said, my monitor is from like 3 computers ago.
Right.
And when I got the last 2, they're like, oh, do you want to pay X to get a new monitor? And I'm like, no, because the monitor I have is still good. But getting a new monitor is like $300, and that's not an expense I'm willing to, mess around with.
No, I got you. I was sad when I had to buy the laptop for this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason I own it.
Right.
But I mean, that's, for the fans. Come on. I'm doing this for the fans.
Exactly. So what else has been going on? How's everything else doing?
I've low profile, stayed home, watched football, watched everything I needed, for the main show, read some stuff. And that's all I did other than going to Walmart and chancing upon some of those Otto T Vault stuff again.
Now, I wasn't prepared. Do you need me to put in the thing for all heat, no heaters here?
No, because this is more of an update to all heaters, no heat. No, I know it's the other way around. But basically, it's more of an update. So I had to go to I didn't go to Walmart to actually look for those things. I had to go for another side story to look for smoke detectors. My father's got rentals, and I had to change the smoke detector. So I'm like, whatever. I looked them all up. The brand that I have, I wanted to get the same brand because they have the bracket that you put them in. You screw the bracket to the wall.
Yeah.
And if you get the same brand, all you have to do is twist the smoke detector and it comes out. And when you put the new one in, which comes with the same bracket, but I don't need it, you turn it and it activates it. They're the 10-year ones, no like D batteries. So I'm like, I want one of those. They lasted 10. They literally took them off the back and it has the date they were manufactured. It was 10 years ago. They're 10-year smoke detectors. They didn't work. And I'm like, okay, who has them? Home Depot doesn't. Lowe's doesn't. Walmart has a ton of them. I'm like, perfect. So I go up and I find them. And as I'm walking by the collectible section, they have those little tags. And I put a picture of them on Twitter. Did you see them at all, Joe? Because I have to
explain.
Okay, just so you know where I'm going with this. So now they have the 3 exclusive figures were the in color blue Rennet, a black and white Shredder, and a black and white Foot Clan person. So they had 2 things to get a code for every one of them but the Rennet. So I texted Adam because he wanted a Shredder. And I said, do you want one? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to buy them. And, I'll redeem the code because they have the poster there, what you got to do. And they're on the back of these things. They have what you have to do that if you don't order them online. So I kind of like that right off the bat. They say when you go up to the counter or up to the register and you buy it, there will be a huge redeem code. Like that's what Adam didn't get from Walmart online. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go up to the lady and while she's there, I'll redeem these or I'll buy them. And if I don't get a code right on my receipt, refund me the money right now. You know what I mean? Right. So that went through with the code, which was fine. But what I was worried about was I took them off the pegs and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take them to the register when I go. And I noticed you know how like it's the plastic thing, like if you get like a knife or whatever, it's form fitted plastic all around it and it's flat everywhere else.
Yeah.
That was that, but it was just taped closed. So I was able to open it from the bottom if I wanted and pull out the card that was in there. So I thought the code was in there somehow at first. So I thought like, oh, somebody could just walk up to here, get the code and redeem it, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
But it was like, no, you have to go to the register. Once you swipe it and pay, the receipt will have a code. I said, okay, so that changed my mind. But now the weird thing is there's a lot of people online asking questions like, are you supposed to take the little plastic thing with the UPC code up to the register, swipe it, you get your code to redeem, and then are you supposed to like leave it there so the next person can, you know what I mean? Because and will it generate a new code? Because I looked at the back of all the ones that were the same. There's no differences in the UPC codes on the ones that they had doubles of. So I don't know if I'm making my thing like so.
Yeah, kind of in a way, kind of like the old days when you'd go to like Toys R Us or Children's Palace to buy a video game. The video games aren't there, but the paper slip is there, right?
Right.
And the paper slip is essentially the quantity of how many of that game they have in stock. But with this, technically, because it's a non-physical item, it's just this one thing, and technically they scan it and they should just put it right back on the shelf, I would assume.
Right, but I did the self-checkout, and she didn't know what I was talking about, so I took the two little plastic things home. They're now part of my collection. You know
All
what I mean?
right.
Because if you need them, say you leave them and you need them for anything down the line, I left them at Walmart. So I don't know. I was like, whatever, but that's a lot of what people are talking. So I come home, and Adam's like, oh, okay, you got one for me. You know what I mean? You got the shredder that I want, and you got the one you want. Send me a picture of the codes, and so you don't have to sign up for Otto T. I'll do it because I already have an account, he's saying. I said, that's a great idea, but you're already fighting for a refund on the first one they screwed you on.
Right,
what
that's not to interrupt you, but I was going to ask because last week you mentioned that Adam was like, well, I'm going to give it 24 hours, and now it's been like 7 days.
Right, and I don't know where he is because I heard he's feeling under the weather. But
yeah, that's right.
So I didn't want to bother him. Don't care, because here's the way I look at it. I paid for the shredder, which counteracts what he paid for the one that he got, kind of screwed on. So if he never gets his refund, when I get my shredder, hopefully that's a whole nother story. If he gets it, then we're even. I bought you your figure and whatever. So you work on the refund. If you get your refund, then you'll owe me for the figure. So now that's all squared away. I'm like, don't mess with that, because if you're fighting for a refund and they say, oh, well, you got a code for the one figure that you're saying you didn't get, then it becomes a rigmarole. So he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. You do it. So I go and I sign up for Otto T. The site works. Barely.
Okay.
Right. So you get there and they're like, do you have a thing to claim? Yes. Do you have a code to claim? Yes. So put the code in. I put the code in and they're like, now sign in. So there's no place to create an account right off the bat, if you get my meaning. You have to
you can't log in ahead of time and then put your code in. Right.
So that's making me nervous.
Right.
Because I'm like, what if it tells me and then I back out and it loses that code or whatever, So I go in and I'm like, okay, you have to create an account. What's your name? Like, what's your account name? What's your email? What's your address? What's your telephone number? And what's something else? So now I'm playing with all of these to go like, okay, I know you need my email, but do you really need my phone number? You know what I mean? Like,
everything needs your phone number.
Well, it didn't need it. So but it needed other stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then it was like session timed out. right? So I'm like, did I lose that code, right? So now I go in, I put everything in but my phone number, which is not essential. I'm like, all right, you have my email. So I put the one code in, I put the second code in, and it says, you have acquired these things. Do you want them shipped to you, or do you want them stored in our vault? Fuck your vault, Otto T. Right. I want them shipped to me. So they said, fine. Now, that's great. But the way the site is set up, it has a little thing at the top that you click on, the 3 bars, if you will, and you go, okay, here's, you want to sign out, you want to go to frequently asked questions, you want to go here. So you click on something and nothing happens. You have to X back out of what you thing, and then that thing pops up. Then I'm not sure how to get to my orders, because there's different spots on different places to get. But in there, I do have 2 figures. Whenever they decide to ship, they're shipping them to my house. And then I was like, okay, that's great. Maybe I want to change some of my information. Maybe I do want to add my phone number. Maybe I want to make sure I have my password right. Let me go in to check my settings, my profile. There's no way to do that. If you fuck that up before you redeem the code, there's no way back to change your email. I was like, this site is ridiculous. And they're all proud of it, Joe. They're all like Otto T, which they haven't tweeted in like a week and a half.
I'm very proud.
Yeah, they're very proud of this site. I'm like, this site is hot garbage. So, but we'll see. They say since Otto T started that it would be 15 days until they started shipping them. Everybody was like, Dear Otto T, I hope this tweet finds you well. Does that mean 15 business days? 15 days? Silence. So we're at 15 days or a little bit more of like straight days. We're not near 15 business days. So I don't know. I look at it as that's still better than 14 months. So
15 months as of this recording.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I'm up on all this.
Right. Well, actually, as of this being released for the non-Patreon folks, it's 15 months.
Right. So yeah, but that's where I'm at. If you have any other questions, I'll try to field them.
This sounds like a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously these things haven't started shipping yet, so there's no way to know for sure what's doing. Because I was going to say, would it just be easier to save yourself the hassle and the headache and go on like the secondary market and get these? But there is no secondary market for them yet, so it's tough to say.
Let's put it this way. This is I bought the figure I wanted to hedge my bets. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now this is the test run. If I have to wait to the secondary market on if they do this again on a figure, let me see how this plays out and what happens with the secondary market. Like, say secondary market from here on out is the figure's 40, secondary market is 55 shipped.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the secondary market. If this proves to be, I bought it for $40, it's $250 secondary market, we try again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then that's all I can do right now, because this is virgin territory.
You know, because obviously, you're aware from last week and on At Odds with Wrestling and alluding to it here with everything that some of us have been going through with ordering from a certain retro figure licensor, let's say.
Right, from Undead Seaman.
Yes, there you go. And, the first series of figures, it was 4 figures. And obviously everybody got on the pre-order. And I'll say this, there was no intention for me to resell the one that I got, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm in the broski group, I got the discount, so it was like 10% off or whatever it was. So I didn't lose money, but I didn't make money. And these things are selling for cost. They're not like some sort of crazy premium on these figures, the first set, right? Mm-hmm. And they've already done, like, since those ones did their initial pre-orders, I think they did like 3 different runs of saying, like, oh, we found some more in some couch cushions, right? You know?
Shocking.
I know. But then there was another one that they did a one-off of, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the one that they said, well, we got the first ones out of the way. The first ones are going to take a lot longer because it's our first time doing them. But this one-off, since we already kind of have the wheels in motion for the first 4, this one's going to be a lot quicker, right? Mm-hmm. We're currently at 2 months longer than the initial run. So then the pre-order for the next set comes out, right?
Right.
And wouldn't you know who won the pony? The only one figure I want out of that whole set is the figure that has intricate tooling, cloth goods, is going to be $5 more than the rest, and is going to ship, I'm going to say generously, 6 to 9 months later than the rest.
Ooh, you're a generous man. I feel this is the perfect storm of Kevin Maguire and Doomsday Clock show.
Right. So, the 4 of the 5, again, same situation. We know how the first set went. We already have, the things in motion. So you pre-ordering these things, and I'll say, November 1st, even though, like, pre-orders early, pre-orders Friday, whatever, but you pre-ordering these things on November 1st, I'm saying that they're going to ship February, March, which is me saying they're probably going to ship, like, last week of March, first week of April, okay?
Okay.
The one that I want, because of all these other things, is going to ship sometime in the summer, okay?
What year?
Okay, summer 2023.
Okay.
But the summer, most people are like, oh, summer, June. And I'm like, no, summer, fall doesn't begin until September 23rd.
Right, so September 22nd.
Right, so September 22nd, which is going to be 11 months to the day, almost, give or take a couple days, of the pre-order of this one, right?
Right.
I have no one to blame but myself for this one. We're going to revisit this one on September 24th of 2023. The other one, though, this one that we're on 15 months now, this person gets tweets daily, not from me, I just have the search saved, of people saying, like, hey, when's this figure going to come out? It's been 15 months, which he ignores. And then people saying, like, hey, I missed the pre-order. Any chance I can get this figure? And he says, nope. Only the ones that we made for this initial run are the only ones being made, which is also a lie. I guarantee you, after these finally come in sometime before 2023, I'm thinking they're going to ship December 31st. And then everyone has their orders. And everyone, who got damaged product, which is another thing that happened with the first set, that a ton of them were damaged. And once all that damage is taken care of, he's going to find some more behind the couch cushions, Todd.
Oh, shocking. And just so you know, it's just the gentle ribbing in the doll group. I love coming after you guys for ordering these things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, I was sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, and even Brian, who's like the big ECW guy from the Broski group, he's like, yeah, I don't like this figure. It's too articulated. It's too detailed. It's too. I'm still going to order 20. But, and I'm like, I just want my one, everybody. Give me my one. That's all I want.
I know, because I used to love when I would talk about Kevin. And this is my impression of Joe when I would mention, yeah, at the next con, I should be getting them. Oh, Todd. Oh, Todd. So now, whenever we're in the doll chat, and you're mentioning, because I wanted to make sure you knew what I was talking about. When you talk about, getting them, it's just 2 words you're going to get in the doll chat every time. Oh, Joe. You know, or I'm ordering more or more figures. Oh, Joe, you know, because that always stuck in my mind.
Right. So so as far as I know, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is any more coming out with any of the other sets that I need.
For now.
No, he's got stuff pretty much laid out pretty far in advance of like what the next like 3 or 4 sets are going to be. And I couldn't find the full list right now of like what he's announced that he has deals with.
Right.
But like, I don't need a Todd Pettengill, you know?
Great first name, by the way.
Huh?
Great first name.
Right. Scott and Todd. They should have said Todd and Scott when they're on the radio on WPLJ, right?
Definitely.
But like, I don't need a Todd Pettengill, and I don't need a whomever, or, you know, I got who I need, and I'm like really trying to rack my brain of, is there someone like, okay, and again, we're you know what we're talking about. They announced a Chris Candido figure, okay? Not that you know who that is, but even like the sketch and the render for the figure, I don't like the way it looks.
Is that something you would have got?
Yeah, probably,
okay.
But I don't like the way that it looks. Like the initial sketch and the initial render. Oh shit. Hang on. There is one, and see, this is another one where it's a 3-pack. If they sell it as a 3-pack, like together on like one blister, I would probably buy. Mm-hmm. And that is Power, Glory, and the Doctor of Style Slick.
Yeah, okay.
But who knows when the hell those are coming out, right? That could be like 7 years from now.
Okay, so I see what you're saying.
There is one for sure, and by one I mean 3 that are on my whatever, you know?
By one I mean 3. So right, now if they split 3 up, are you getting those 3?
I really want it on like the same card. Does that make any sense?
No, that's 100% fine. And this isn't me like tweaking you. I don't know if they were a team or something. So is that why you? Okay, that's why you want them all on the same card. Okay,
because like from that era of WWE figures, mm-hmm. They would do packs where like you would get your single carded figures, but then they would put tag teams together as a tag team. And you could only, like, you couldn't just buy, like, I just want a Shawn Michaels. No. And not until he turns heel. But if you wanted Rocker Shawn Michaels, you had to buy the 2-pack and get Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, right?
Right.
You wanted the Road Warriors, you wanted the Nasty Boys, you wanted the whomever, but they never did managers in that. And they never, like, obviously, if they did it as Power and Glory as a 2-card tag team thing, and then Slick was separate, I would do it. If they did it as all 3 together, I would do it. But if they just did it as 3 individual figures, I'm saying it publicly now, I wouldn't do it, but we're going to cross that bridge when we get to it.
Fair enough. One of these days, we have to dream book sets or action figures that we wish they would make.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that now that you're talking about my favorite wrestling guy, Slick.
Right.
I don't know who that is. But now,
the Doctor of Style, Slick. He sings Jive Soul Bro.
Right. Now, if they did a box set or a 3 on a blister for whatever this company is that you're getting.
Right.
If they did the Mean Street Posse.
Okay.
I would go in with you to save on shipping.
Now, I will say this. There's a lower group that would probably do Mean Street Posse, but now there's currently like 5 other lower groups. So who the hell knows, right?
Because I've seen some shitty artwork in the doll chat for figures, and then everybody's just poo-pooing it. I'm like, I don't know. Ricardo Montalban from Wrath of Khan looks pretty good.
No, that's a lady, Todd.
Oh, well, hey, I don't see stuff.
So as it stands right now, here's the list. And this is I'm going to need a more updated list, and this is on me that I need to save this. So we mentioned Power and Glory and Slick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Barry Horowitz, don't need that. Bill Alfonso, don't need that.
What? He calls it right down the middle.
He does call it right down the middle, Daddy, but I don't need a Bill Alfonso.
The most annoying whistle in the business after the loud whistler. But
I was going to say the loud whistler. Jack Tunney, don't need Jack Tunney.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hughes, don't need Mr. Hughes.
Okay.
Enzo, I definitely don't need Enzo, but I would buy Enzo as a gag gift for someone, but that's
Right.
it.
Well,
That's an expensive gag gift.
That's because you're soft, Joe. SAWFT.
Yes. One Man Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Van Dam, which is going to be difficult because he currently has a World Wrestling Entertainment Legends deal.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned before Todd Pettengill, the Rock and Roll Express, Sex Ferguson, which again I think is also going to be difficult because he has a World Wrestling Entertainment deal now as well.
Is that Turd's brother?
It's pretty close.
Okay.
Smart Mark Sterling, who has been who just keeps getting moved further and further down the list of like what set he's going to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan Hornswoggle Postle, who's already jumped ship to one of the other companies.
Well, will his come with doo-doo fingers?
It does come with the chocolate and the doo-doo fingers, but his legs are too long, so it's not an accurate figure.
God. I hate that I know this stuff, Joe.
I love that you know this stuff.
Now, so that's the list of figures that you said that this is doing. That
is who he has announced.
Right. And
that he is doing figures with. But this is a list as of July of 2021.
Right.
I don't
so I'm not going to hold you.
Who's been added to the list?
Right. So you said there's only like one or two, maybe, or no?
Well, like I said, the Enzo is a gag gift, maybe.
Right.
And then if they do Power, Glory, and Slick as like a multi-card thing.
Okay, so there's nobody else. And all right, that's
nobody else on this list.
That you know of it. There might be, hey, all the stars are here.
Right, all the stars of the World Wrestling Entertainment, right?
Right. So, well, that's good. I like to know where you stand, so.
Mm-hmm. So that's it. I think that's everything, right?
I don't have anything else going on in my life. How about you?
No, I was trying to lean into, with the tech talk at the top. My kid accidentally got malware on his laptop.
Oh, no.
And how we were talking before, like, if you're at a 4, I'm at a 5, I'm striving for a 6.
Right.
For that hour, I had to be a 10. To figure out on how to get that all off there, right?
Right.
So it's been an adventure because I haven't had to do that for myself in something like whatever the Gazint is in, or since like 2006, 2007, let's say.
That's why I don't do anything on my laptop but do this podcast.
Now, and that's the other thing. There have been instances in the past where like, and a big site that that's what happened to is Gilbert Gottfried's website, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Gilbert has a website for for when he was touring. Obviously, he's not touring anywhere now. And then he would have one for the podcast, which would just be like a redirect to where you could download the podcast from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen is they would always let the certificate on the website lapse.
Okay.
And I would go to one or the other to get the podcast, not thinking, I'm like, oh shit, he let the thing lapse, and I would get my alerts that like, hey, we stopped this because this site is like infected as fuck.
Right.
You know, because when he would let this, because Gilbert was such a big deal and it was getting such traffic, when the certificate would lapse, the bots and the malware and the spyware and everything would hop on that URL address.
Okay. I completely understand everything you're saying at my solid 4, Joe. I understand everything.
So when I would get my report at the end of the month, when my antivirus, spyware, all that other shit would run its report, it would always come up as something that was filtered through the Gilbert website. And I'm like, oh, that's what it was, right?
Gotcha. Something
my kid clicked on, something he went to, it was pushing him a thing to try to get him to sign up to renew his antivirus, spyware, malware protection. Okay. And I'm like, okay, it's telling you to do, that you have X protection on your computer, but we actually have this other company name one, right?
Right.
And I know this because like your computer's on it, our phones are on it, everything's on it, right? So I had to explain to him, you did the right thing by bringing it to me. This is what it's trying to do. Now I got to figure out a way to get it to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, it was an hour and a half of my night, like on Saturday, of going through all that shit, which is like way above my expertise for doing that sort of stuff, which is why like a normal person would have probably been able to do it in like 5 minutes, and it took me an hour and a half.
Right. I mean, security-wise, the biggest thing I had recently was someone signed into my Twitter, apparently.
Right. See, that's okay. So that's the thing. So they signed in. What did they do?
I don't know, because I talked to, who's probably a solid 7 on the chart, Adam Van, right? So I talked to him. I'm like, do you have any idea? Like, because he came to me and he said, see, I thought it was somebody attempted to sign in because I don't read good. And he was like, no, dude, like, you took that screen caps. Like, these 4 people somehow signed in. They're from all over the world. So I'm like, he's like, so sign out, change your password. And he said, put second something confirmation. I forget what it's called. But I did. So I have it all set up that it has to be to sign in. First of all, it booted everybody out. Right. And the only thing that I had Twitter on anymore is I don't even have it on my Kindle anymore. I just have it on the phone. It booted everybody out, and then I went in and I signed into the second thing, confirmation, and now it has to send a code to me in text, and then you have to punch in the code, which has happened to us when I got a new phone on Longbox Heroes. I was like, oh, Joe, you're going to get a code, send it to me so I can get in. So that was good. And then after that, I went and I did that with every account that I had, from like emails to just my 2 Twitter accounts at Heart Attack and Roger the Joker. I went and I did that confirmation for all of them, emails, a couple other sites that were like whatever for like my doctor and my credit card, and now hopefully I'm good. But they didn't do anything that I know of. Nobody said like, oh, somebody DM me, hey, give me money, or they tried to do whatever they do in there. I don't know. But nothing's happened so far. But I'm 90% sure it was Becky trying to hack my account. She even said on Twitter, so. She said, I hacked it so I could write Doctor Who sucks and wrestling is great.
Oh, there you go.
So that's how I knew it was her. So a lot of tech talk on this show.
Right. Again, we became, instead of being a lifestyle show, we became a tech podcast. So gradually, I didn't even realize it,
Yep. A toy show, too.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's enough for this show, which would have been, I don't even have that in front of me. Episode 415 of Longbox Heroes After Dark.
Okay.
And, Amazon affiliate link and the show notes for wherever it is that you get the podcasts. The Patreon, patreon.com/longboxheroes. $5 gets you this show 2 days before everyone else, so you get to listen to everything in the correct listening order. And I think there's a TeePublic sale going on this weekend as well. So, support the show any way you can.
Network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.